Now, I'm not gonna lie, I had a whole script written up recapping this god-awful Fantastic Four movie. Throughout the course of that script, I explained why most of the scenes in that movie sucked. But you know what? Nah man, screw that, it's slandering time. This might be the most offensive comic book movie I've sat through, and I've watched both Suicide Squad and Green Lantern for the sake of this channel. There's legitimately not a single positive thing to say about Fantastic Four 2015. This movie is legitimately an hour and 40 minutes long of absolutely nothing but bad decisions. Let that sink in. Not even Michael B. Jordan can save this video, nor could he make this movie any better, and almost everyone likes Michael B. Jordan. There's no good writing, no good action scenes. In fact, there's barely any action at all. Most of this movie is just people standing around talking about science mumbo jumbo. And it's hard to care about any certain aspects of this movie. It's ridiculous that this movie is this bad. Fantastic Four has this weird thing where they felt the need to continuously drill in the fact that Reed Richards is the smartest man in the room. There are 3 parts in the beginning of the movie that do this, 2 of them are even back to back from each other. There's ridiculously flawed logic in this movie, such as a science fair judge getting mad at Reed Richards for making a project that's too smart for him to understand, so he disqualifies him. On top of that, the way Reed meets Dr. Storm and Sue Storm is a massive reach, probably one of the biggest of all time. Reed's project sends a helicopter to a location and back. That toy helicopter has sand on it, so because it has sand on it, Dr. Storm and Sue think it's the exact same sand they found in another dimension. This isn't even a movie that's bad to the point where it's comical and you can make jokes throughout the movie to make it actually entertaining. Case in point, almost any old horror movie ever. It's just boring. There's nothing entertaining in this movie. Not even the scene where they finally get their powers is entertaining. Somehow, the movie with an extra $50 million in its budget managed to get outdone by a movie that was literally done 10 years prior to its release. Let that sink in for a minute. The scene where every character gets superpowers in Fantastic Four 2005 is better than Fantastic Four 2015. Sure, you can look back at it and clearly see the early 2000s visual effects, but you can say the same thing about other films such as Green Lantern, which I've reviewed before. Shameless plug, I know, can you blame me? If I'm gonna suffer writing about this terrible movie, I need to get something out of it. Even in the sequences where they try to establish characters such as Johnny Storm in Fantastic Four 2015, that sequence is the only possibly marginally decent scene, and it lasts like 3 minutes, if that. It's literally a car scene that shows that Johnny has a need for speed, compared to Fantastic Four 2005, which has an entertaining scene where Johnny is skiing on a mountain. Are you gonna tell me that the scene in 2005 isn't 10 times better than this boring scene in 2015? Don't lie, there's no way you can sell me on that idea. And you might be wondering by now, why am I pretending that Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer doesn't exist, huh? Well, can you blame me after this terrible excuse of a thunderstorm cloud in space that's supposed to be Galactus? That alone is a good enough reason to pretend that Rise of the Silver Surfer doesn't exist. In nearly every superhero movie ever, even dawning back to the beginning of Raimi's iconic Spider-Man trilogy, when a superhero gets their superpowers, there's supposed to be a clear moment where you could watch the movie and be like, this is where the movie becomes fun, or this is where we finally get to see what we've been wanting to see. Spider-Man has that iconic scene where Peter's climbing on the side of a building and jumps on rooftops. Iron Man has the scene where Tony finally suits up into his Mark I armor. Green Lantern, as much as I hate to mention this moment, has the scene where Hal gets shot up into space to finally get his suit and reach the Lantern Corps. And just to prove a point, even the terrible Catwoman movie has this awful scene. So what does the Fantastic Four remake have? What propels that movie to finally reach the interesting part? Whoever created this movie decided that it would be a fantastic idea, it wasn't, to make the most boring and saddening follow-up to these characters getting superpowers. Every single character, Reed, Sue, Ben, and Johnny, all get treated like science experiments in the worst way possible. One scene has Reed crying because he's trying to figure out where he is and what happened to Ben. Another part has Sue lying in a hospital bed, going in and out of invincibility. Johnny is constantly on fire and having clear panic attacks to the point where he breaks glass as he tries to understand what happened. Ben is traumatized because he's basically a pile of rocks, and I get it. Trying to show the repercussions of their drunk decision sounds alright on paper. However, this is a superhero movie. In fact, it's a remake of a movie that was super comedic, even if some of the jokes didn't age well. The idea of doing these dark sequences to showcase the potential trauma of these characters only works if the intention of the movie is to get that out of the way early on so we can get to the enjoyable, lighthearted aspects of the movie. As much as I hate to say it, I disliked Man of Steel heavily, but even with a ton of questionable decisions by Zack Snyder, there are sequences in Man of Steel that are at least entertaining because they're so mind-numbing. Those gigantic mind-numbing fights are the payoff for suffering through literally every other aspect of Man of Steel. Meanwhile, Fantastic Four literally has almost zero payoff whatsoever. In fact, there's almost no action until literally 1 hour into the movie. Literally 57 minutes into the movie is where we finally see Johnny fly as the Human Torch, see Ben tearing up tanks as if he's the Hulk, and Sue finally learning how to maintain her powers. There's no reason why these types of moments are this late into the movie, especially when it comes to comic book movies. This is the type of content you expect to see 30-40 minutes into the movie with action sequences being well on their way already, not 1 hour into the movie. It doesn't make sense, and it almost feels like the director of this movie didn't even know a single thing about making superhero movies when this movie was made. It's beyond ridiculous. What's even more frustrating is that Fantastic Four is predominantly a movie where you're watching people talk or just do things. You're either watching characters talk about scientific mumbo jumbo that makes way less sense than listening to a character in a Marvel movie explain how the Infinity Stones work, or you're watching the main characters do something boring like typing on a computer. And every single time there's an action sequence, the movie cuts immediately back to a scene that requires people to talk to each other again and slow the pace of the movie down even further. Just to put it into perspective, imagine watching a Fast and Furious movie, but every single time they finally start to have a fun car scene, they cut the scene way shorter than it should have been, and a character suddenly talking about family for whatever reason. That's how frustrating this movie is. Then, because each character barely spends time around each other in this movie, these characters have no emotional connection to one another. In every scene they're talking to each other, it feels either fake enough for you to simply laugh at how bad the scene is, or you just feel like you're peeking into a window and watching two robots have a conversation. Even Tom Hardy and Venom had more chemistry with one another, and the writing in Venom is terrible. Then, when there are about 30 minutes left, even less actually, the characters go back to whatever generic planet they went to before they got powers for one single reason: because they finally remembered that Victor has been gone since the sub 1 hour mark of this movie. There's literally no other reason, and even when you think, wow, maybe we'll get a good looking Dr. Doom, yeah, no, he looks awful. He looks low budget. He looks like he got stuck in the New York City sewers, and even that's an insult to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Dr. Doom being pissed finally forces the Fantastic Four to assemble, even though they're not even a team because they have absolutely zero chemistry whatsoever. But here's the kicker. The fight scene is literally 7 minutes long out of an hour and 40-minute movie. 7 minutes of a superhero movie attempting to finally be the exact thing it was supposed to be, a superhero movie. Do you understand how ridiculous that sounds when I point out that out of this whole movie, 7 minutes of it is actual action? Even then, of those 7 minutes, there's a full minute of them just standing around as they contemplate what they need to do in order to beat Dr. Doom. So in actuality, it's about 6 minutes of action in a near 2 hours superhero movie? After everything I've ranted about, these clowns had the audacity to hit us with this line as one of the final lines in this movie.
It's fantastic.
Yes, it is. Guys, I got it.
I want to emphasize that I hate literally everything about this movie, and it is at the top of my list of the worst superhero movies ever made. There is nothing, absolutely nothing good about this damn movie. I try my hardest to give credit where it's due. I try to be honest and be like, no, that's fair when it comes to conversations regarding various topics, such as the Marvel's Avengers season pass. But Fantastic Four gets none of that. Absolutely not. You will never hear a yeah but type of reply from me that'll excuse the terrible decision making in this movie. 2 hours of my life down the drain just because I put up a funny tweet that I thought no one would live up to. But here we are. The only clown in this situation is me, because apparently the joke's on me. I've done a lot of videos by now, and I've hated a lot of the movies that I've watched so far, whether it's Green Lantern, Man of Steel, Suicide Squad, or even doing other things such as my Aquaman Battle for Atlantis video. But this video takes the cake. It's even more frustrating when this thought, man, if Zack Snyder did this, there would at least be mindless action to get me through the movie, goes through my head. This movie sucks. There's nothing good about it. No one should ever think about watching this movie because trust me, there's no jokes to be made. It's just bad. That's it. I'm over it. Screw this awful, poor excuse of a Fantastic Four movie. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you really enjoyed this video, hit that sub button. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, write a comment down below. Don't forget to keep it real with peace, love, and positivity.